This is TVC News at 7. We've been looking at a number of stories today. First is the decision of the Kaduna State High Court to grant the prayer of the leader of the Islamic movement in Nigeria to travel for medical attention.
The Kaduna State government says it might appeal the ruling. Then there's the failure of BREVOLUTIONNOW to kick off. It was unsuccessful across the country. Let's have a legal practitioner now, Dele Belgore, who's joining us on the news for his perspective on these issues. Thank you for joining us on TVC News at 7. Let's begin with the choice of the word revolution. It implies a forceful overthrow of government, and security forces have tagged this treasonable felony and an act of terrorism. What is your legal opinion about this?
Well, my opinion is that we shouldn't make too much of the word, because if you look at our criminal laws, the treasonable felony laws, it doesn't actually mention the word revolution. So, whilst in ordinary usage it may mean one thing, you can only have committed an offense if you've breached the provisions of the written law, and the written law does not mention the word revolution.
Well, we have heard the police, for instance, in Lagos, calling this an unlawful assembly. According to them, the protesters did not get police permit. Do civil protesters, in this case, require a police permit to gather, especially in such a national protest as this?
I think since 2015, the Court of Appeal had ruled that the law requiring, the Public Order Act requiring that police permits must be obtainable is unconstitutional. So that we've gone beyond that. Issue of police permit is old law. It's a thing of the past in this country.
Let's talk about the arrest of the presidential candidate of the AAC. The arrest has been criticized now by major stakeholders, but the government insists that whatever it is planning is a treasonable felony. How do you react to that?
Well, I think the matter was handled badly. The right to protest and the right to assemble are constitutional rights. So what the authorities should really do, and this is what happens in a mature democracies, Nigeria is no different, is that the authorities, the police, will protect the rights of the protesters to protest and protect them in that process so that they are not attacked or in any way. And at the same time, ensure that the protest is done in a peaceful and lawful manner. So there is a balancing act between maintaining public order and protecting the fundamental rights of citizens. It cannot be one or the other. Simply because you believe the protest may appear to be critical of the government, the protest may appear to lead to people expressing views and positions that may not be palatable to the government, then you shut out the protest. If you recall, in November 2014, I believe, there was a protest led by the current president. Then under, I think, it was president-elect or, presidential candidate at the time. And there was a protest to let the government know the people's concerns about security in the country at the time. So there's no reason why I think a protest of this nature should not be allowed. We should avoid knee-jerk reactions, which would then immediately lead to a clampdown on fundamental rights.
Well, let's look at other development for a bit. The court order on the leader of the Islamic movement in Nigeria, Ibrahim EL-ZAKZAKY, given him and his wife a leave to travel to India for medical attention. There are some who are saying that this is perhaps a way to, douse the tension that has earlier on existed between government and this group. What are your thoughts along this line?
Well, first of all, is that every person is innocent until proven guilty. So the fact that EL-ZAKZAKY is facing a criminal trial should not deprive him of a right to medical treatment, proper medical treatment. So I don't see there's too much being made about this. I would have thought what we should be really concerned about is the fact that Nigerians have to travel to places like India for medical treatment. We should be looking at improving our own medical facilities such that we won't have to be making this medical tourism from time to time. So I think that should really be our focus, not the fact that the court is protecting EL-ZAKZAKY's right.
I get your point. But there seems to be a rich history here of disobedience of court order, and the Kaduna state government is also looking at the possibility of appealing this judgment. How do you see this play out in the nearest future?
Well, appeal is not a disobedience of a court order because again, we go back to our law. The law says that if you are a party and you are dissatisfied with the decision of a court, you can appeal to a higher court. So long as they appeal and the court then grants a stay, then or they've applied for a stay even before the court grants it, then they will not be in disobedience of the court order. But simply to do nothing and say you are dissatisfied with the decision of the court is what will amount to disobedience.
Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mohammed Dele Belgore, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us on TVC News at 7.